we've talked about this thing from the perspective of the Lions and the Texans. And one thing it does for the Texans, it takes them out of the market for the free agent running backs who are going to be available next week. And I think the timing suggests that last week in Indianapolis, the Texans kicked the tires on the various available running backs, and they realized, you know what?
Yes.
We're better off doing the trade. We're better off getting the bird in the hand. We're better off getting 5.9. I may have said 5.8 earlier. 5.9 million between the base salary and then the per game roster bonuses. 5.9 million. It actually works out to 6 altogether. So I don't want to shortchange David Montgomery. When you add it all up, it's $6 million right on the nose. We're better off paying him 6. I mean, you look at what Javonte Williams got with the Cowboys. 3 years, $24 million, $8 million a year, although I still haven't seen the official numbers, which tells me there's still a little fluff in there. But $6 million may be a bargain in comparison to what the market's going to do. And they get a proven commodity in David Montgomery. And they don't have to spin the wheel and hope they get the guy they want. That's the problem. If you don't do the deal for Montgomery now, there's a chance you're left out in the cold once the free agent frenzy has subsided.
Exactly. That's the risk. And I think that's probably where Nick Caserio looked at it and said, wait, we're too good, and this is too important of a position for me to just roll the dice and hope that we give one of these free agents enough money that they pick us over another team. So I think he looks at that, and this is a thrifty way to do it. Hey, this is the money. I'm fine paying a guy like this, of this caliber, this money. That's no big deal for us. And then also it takes the risk of the draft if you didn't make a move. To just go, well, I hope we find the right guy in the draft that can help our team that, is in the Super Bowl window once again. So we'll see where it goes. But, yes, I mean, you look at the top of the market. They don't want to get involved in Breece Hall or Kenneth Walker. We don't know what's going to happen there. Travis Etienne, he'll be available, but I would expect he's probably asking maybe a little bit more money than they would like as well, certainly more than 5.8 or 5.9 million. So that's out there. Now then you get into Rico Dowdle territory, and that's where you start to go, okay, Rico Dowdle, well, I certainly like Ty Montgomery, even though Rico Dowdle had the really good year last year, I get it, but was that just a flash in the pan? Is that something he's going to be able to continually do as we go forward here? So they go with a guy to go, wait, this guy's a 1,000-yard rusher. Like, if he's the guy, he's a 1,000-yard rusher, he's a professional, and he can do everything we want on all 3 downs. He's not perfect for third down, but he can pass protect on third down, and that's the big thing. And I think, ultimately, kind of to what you're saying, Mike, I think that's why the Texans probably made this move here.
I agree with you, and there's the list of the top free agent running backs, or at least some of the free agent running backs. According to the PFT Top 100, which I didn't make, give all the credit to Shereen Williams, and likewise, give all the blame. It's funny, I got a text last week from an agent saying how great our top 100 list is, so I made sure I told Shireen, because usually it's just, this sucks. This is the worst top 100 list I've ever seen, which is an amazing feat, because every year you end up making a worse list than the year before. It's an incredible accomplishment. It would be hard to do if you tried. But I got a text from an agent who loved it, and then I started looking at the names, and I started cross-referencing who represents who, and it's like, well, I know why this person liked it. Clients at the top of the list.
Yeah, right. Right, yeah.
Or
that's
near the
funny.
top.
Yeah. It's a great list. All my guys are top 20. It's a great list. Thank you. Yes, they are. You're really smart at doing lists, 100%. Yes. But that leads us to the other conversation of this running back thing. I think is going to be interesting here, right? The next few days into the franchise tag deadline here early next week is just, does one of these guys get tagged, and where do these guys end up? Breece Hall, Kenneth Walker, Travis Etienne. I mean, damn, they're players. They can change your team around in a big way, especially Breece Hall and Kenneth Walker. So I just look at that and go, yeah, these are big chess pieces for an NFL football team. And do the teams that kind of have the rights to them right now, and the Jets and the Seahawks, are they willing just to go, wait, we think we can find somebody better or somebody is equal to you? and take that risk. It's an interesting conversation because Breece Hall's another one of those guys where it's score anywhere, anytime. And Kenneth Walker's not too much different. We saw 70-yard touchdowns and 80-yard touchdowns from him all year long. So, that's something I certainly got my eye on as we go into the franchise tag deadline.
Well, and we'll be talking about the tag deadline coming later today, but I had heard last week, and we wrote the item before we went to Indy at PFT, the transition tag is firmly in play for Breece Hall.
I can see that.
In New York.
Yeah.
With that twist, and I think we talked about it on the show, the twist being if the Jets think that someone's going to give him an offer sheet that they're not going to match, they need to yank it, because I didn't know this, and I've confirmed it. If you apply the transition tag to a player and they get an offer sheet and you don't match it, you clearly don't get any compensation from the team that signed your player, but that player also doesn't count toward the compensatory draft pick formula. He just disappears out of the system. So that's the danger.
The gamble of the transition.
To using the transition tag. Yeah, if you think that someone is about to sign the offer sheet, yoink, remove the transition tag and let the guy just sign, because then you may get something the next year in the draft.
Yeah, well, it's risky. It's risky, right? And what teams are trying to do, the franchise tag number as we sit here right now for running backs is what, just north of $14 million, Mike, if you remember correctly. The transition tag was around 11 and change, if I remember correctly. Is that right? So there you are, a team trying to save $3 million. Which I get, because that could be another player on your football team. We know that. Could be a backup running back who's good, or a backup DB or whoever. So that it's still valuable. People look at that. But at the same time, is saving that $3 million worth the risk of, wait, we lose that guy, we don't get him, and now he's scoring 80-yard touchdowns, and like I said, like the Jets are a team where you go, hey, touchdowns are at a premium. The only guy I've been able to see that can actually score touchdowns on the Jets the last 2 years is Breece Hall. Are we sure we want to give him away? He's not perfect. I get it. I wish he ran a little bit more physical and ran harder, but still, at the same time, he's one of the freakier guys in the sport at the position. And that's where they got to figure out what they want to do. But, yeah, Breece Hall and the Super Bowl MVP Kenneth Walker are, they're really good combos around that one.
Hey, I look at it this way. Breece Hall somehow got 1,000 rushing yards last year, despite being on the number 29 offense in the league with the number 32 passing game.
That's what I'm saying.
An average of 140 yards per game. So what could the guy do with a real offense around him?
That's what we're saying. I mean, the Jets, more times than not, when we were watching them on a Sunday afternoon play sucky-ducky football, the two things you would see from watching them play sucky-ducky football would go, damn, they can return kicks and punts, and this damn number 20, whether he catches a screen pass or gets out on the edge, he can make some plays. Those were like the two things you knew you were going to see on a weekly basis with the Jets, because we weren't going to see much defense, we weren't going to see an interception, and we weren't going to see a passing game. So it was Breece Hall and the return game. I mean, that's what kept them competitive this year. So, again, that's where I get back to the value of that is big. And it's 1 year. It's 1 year, $14 million for some of the freakiest guys in the sport. That's where, it's a tough one. I understand it. And I know the running backs are, for some, in some degree, growing on trees, but not ones like that. Not ones like that. I know we can get running backs in the draft and do that, but like the Breece Halls and the Kenneth Walkers, they don't come around, that easily, that often. And that's where, I think sometimes some teams sleep on that value of that kind of player.
Well, but it depends on what the investment is, and then the reality that if you use the franchise tag, you're putting yourself in a spot where a long-term deal coming from that typically results in the first 2 years being fully guaranteed at signing, where you pay 14, and then it would be another 20% on top of that. I'm going to try to do the math. It would be another $2.8 million, so it'd be $16.8 million on top of the 14. So you're committing to $30 million plus over 2 years, fully guaranteed, and you may not want to do that. And if you're going to do that, I mean, because that's the when in Rome trend for taking a franchise tag and making it a long-term deal before July 15. The first 2 years of the tag money fully guaranteed, and then something on top. And it's more of a win for the player if you do better than 2 tags, and it's a win for the team if it's less than 2 tags. But if you're talking about a running back, why not just do 2 tags? Why am I going to pay this guy $30 million and maybe a little more when I can do 14 and I can do 16.8? But the Jets don't want to do $30 million over 2 years. They don't want to start down that path. And I think, look, if they ultimately lose him to free agency, if they do the transition tag and someone signs him to an offer sheet, or they yoink the transition tag when they know he's going to get an offer sheet they're not going to match, I'm like, why the hell didn't they? Why didn't they trade him when they had the chance last year? Maybe it's because they were only getting a 4th-round pick, but, I mean, you could get nothing now. The only way you can play this now is to try to get compensation next year for Breece Hall. And, it's only delayed by 1 year because it would have been a 4th-round pick in this year's draft. They'll get a compensatory pick depending upon total free agency activity, yada, yada. But they'll be in line for a compensatory draft pick, possibly a 3rd-rounder next year. I still think that if he's going to walk away for nothing now, shame on the Jets for not getting something for him when the window to trade him was open.
Well, I hear you there. I mean, he's a valuable player. He's a valuable asset. He's an anytime, anywhere guy. They're rare. The Jets want to play through their defense, I believe. They got to run the ball. We don't know who their quarterback's going to be. And that's where you look at it and go, well, Breece Hall would be the greatest help in that transition through this little period here to help the football team. Then that's where it makes sense. And then, you say the contract stuff, and I hear you. But this is where, and I agree with everything you say. I'm not even pushing back. If I were some of these teams, this is where I would look for a Breece Hall. I would add to what you're saying. I'd go, well, let's try to find a way, 3 years, $40 million, something of that, where it's like $24 million guaranteed or somewhere in that range. And then it's okay. It's basically $12.5 million a year, but we can get out after year 2 because the guaranteed money's there, and he might not be the same guy 3 years from now. Those are the things that at least come to my mind as I think about this. And would I do it if I was a GM and put myself in their shoes? And that to me makes more sense to sometimes than maybe the double tag or the 2-year deal that might cost against the cap just a little bit more than that 3-year deal where you can get out of.
Right, but the problem is if you're offering something like that, and you're not going to use the tag, the player can see what else is out there, and somebody else may be willing to offer him more. And that's the problem with the tag. We're going to talk more about the tag coming up, but the franchise tag is not good for players. It keeps the player from seeing what the market would bear for his services. So Breece Hall, Kenneth Walker III, we didn't talk about him in depth. We've talked about him in the past, though. The Seahawks made it clear. They leaked it on the day the 2-week window for using the tag opened, that they weren't likely to use any tags on Kenneth Walker III. They're going to let him hit free agency. Travis Etienne heading to free agency after 5 years with the Jaguars. Rico Dowdle, he did the 1-year deal last year with the Panthers. He's in a position to do something better than that elsewhere. J.K. Dobbins had the foot injury last year, wasn't able to get back. He's great when he's healthy. He just has been injured way too much. Rashad White, destined to leave the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and Tyler Algier, one of the underrated pieces of the Falcons offense in recent years. He's going to be available, and more. Those are just the ones that made it onto our top 100. Isaiah Pacheco is out there. He's a very
Kenneth Gainwell, we saw the year he had last year.
Steelers MVP. It'd be the first time, football historian, that the Steelers team MVP would be leaving immediately in free agency since this one's hard. This is a deep dive.
Okay, hold on. So it's a deep dive. First time Steelers.
It's possible.
Yes.
It's possible.
First time Steelers MVP leaves the year after they. Wow. I'm gonna say Emmanuel Sanders. Did he have a year where he was the team MVP? I'm taking a shot.
That's a good deep cut guess. You're gonna be upset with yourself when I tell you the answer.
Go ahead.
Because this is right smack dab in the middle of your formative years. Neil O'Donnell.
Oh wow, yeah, you're right. My mind did not go there.
You were rooting
but
for
now
the Cowboys that year.
You're right. I
you
was
were
there.
rooting for the Cowboys that year because the Giants had forced Phil into your bedroom to close the door and have the talk.
Yep.
Not that talk.
Yeah.
The other talk.
Exactly.
I don't
right.
think Phil ever had the first talk with you. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.